What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, and on this planet we send it. And what we're going to be getting in today, well, I'm taking out the JK for the first time. This is a JK that's new to me, that's replacing my 06 LJ Rubicon. Now, this is a JKU Rubicon for 2018. So this last model that they made, the JK, and I'm very excited to be taking it out on the trail for the first time. Now, we're out on the Palomar Divide, basically truck trail. So the only thing we're really expecting is a lot of great scenery as we're leaving from the Temecula Valley area and we're heading towards Warner Springs. Now, I've never done this trail before, but I have been told that it's going to be, not only is it going to be very easy, it's going to be a lot of just great scenery, and potentially as we're on the side of a couple of cliffs heading, maybe not crazy cliffs, but we'll definitely be able to get some pretty good views. But we're going to be heading out and, like I said, just seeing some good scenery, and I figured I'm going to use this as an opportunity to introduce the JK to you guys and kind of discuss why I chose to go with the JK by trying to find another LJ. But all right, I got a plan in place. Risks are acceptable. Let's go ahead and send it. So I was out with West Coast Off-Roaders, and although I thanked him at the end of the video, I do want to thank Kai again for setting this up, because it was just a nice and easy and scenic trail, and it really felt good to be out with my son in the Jeep. So Kai, if you're watching this, I definitely appreciate you taking us out. But we started off here, again, as I mentioned, out here by the Temecula Valley, and we just started heading up the trail. And you immediately, as soon as you get up just a little bit, you're riding on the peak of the mountain, and that's pretty much a majority of the trail. You're just along some windy part of the trails, and I will say it was a little unfortunate being the driver because you're kind of close to a cliff, so you got to obviously focus on safety first. But it would have been nice if all the trails were on the driver's side so I could have seen a little bit better. But at least my son was able to go ahead and observe some of these scenery and enjoy his time. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be using this time to go ahead and talk about why I selected the JK, but we'll also be bouncing back and forth between a little bit of brief music montage, again, so I can just highlight the scenery as I'm also explaining the JK and why I chose to go with another JK vice the LJ. So before we get into a music montage, we'll go ahead and go into the first part where I start talking about the JK. So I will say it's good to be back on the trail. You know, I'm out here with some familiar faces that I've been out on the trail quite a few times already in the past, and I'm out with quite a few new faces that I'm out on the trail for the first time. And you know, one of the things that I definitely enjoy about the off-road community is, even though you know, you're meeting people for the same time, we all have something that unites us, you know, a common bond of, you know, pretty much for the most part, most of us are in Jeeps. I think we got one FJ coming up right now to join us. But yeah, we can immediately just start talking parts and everything about, you know, what we plan to do with our vehicle and what we've enjoyed so far with what we've done with our vehicle. Then yeah, I really do appreciate that. So obviously losing the LJ, not a fun thing. You know, I definitely kind of sucks feeling like a victim and looking back and thinking of like, oh, I should have, would have, could have put on this particular car alarm and kill switch and all these other different things. And, you know, you're just kind of kicking yourself in the butt after doing that. But I do feel that this door was closed for me by those, you know, above me. And I feel that way because I was having problems with the LJ, to be honest, and it was getting kind of hard to get it on the trail, and it was, as a matter of fact, it was in a position to where I was having to replace the catalytic converter. Unfortunately, I got the part for it, and I'm now gonna have to get rid of that part. You know, it's just random little things that potentially was not going to be able to smog here in California, and yeah, unfortunately, although I loved that Jeep, you know, maybe this door was, you know, closed intentionally for me because I wasn't going to do it myself. Now, as a matter of fact, I would say I've always been a fan of the JK because my brother has like a mid-year JK. I think he's around like a 2014 JK, plus or minus a year or so. He's the one that got me into it. We went out to Pismo Beach, the event that they have out at Pismo, and I just had a blast in it. And then even when I got the LJ, I was taking it out for a shakedown run, and my brother was there too in his Jeep JK Sport, and he was doing some things that I would not even attempt to do as far as waterfall climbs because he had a longer wheelbase, and I was actually really impressed. So that's why I've always been a fan of the JK. And to be honest, if you saw my S-Pod installation video for this Jeep, you would have seen how I was discussing how I was always a little bit jealous about how the 2006 and older Jeeps had significantly less aftermarket support compared to the 2007 and later. That also kind of, you know, led into why I wanted to, you know, get the JK. But the real main reason why I was excited for the JK was because of what number one, because of what my brother demonstrated on the type of wheeling that I wanted to do. The JK was better suited for. There was only really 1 or 2 times to where I thought the LJ really outperformed the JKs, and that's when we were in Rodriguez Rock Garden. I was just going through things so easily because I fit through these rocks better than the JKs and JLs that were out there. So that was really one of the only few places that I thought that the LJ was actually doing better. Everything else, I was doing a lot of waterfall climbs and descents that the JK was going to better perform. So another main reason, probably the other second main reason why I wanted to go with the JK, is because to the LJ, for those who've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I've been eyeballing the LJ's tracer build from Genrite, because that is a full complete system and it turns that Jeep into basically a Jeep buggy, and that thing would have been so awesome. The only drawback to it is you kind of got to do it either all at once, or at best you can only do that in 2 stages. But it does require you get tons, the full system, you know, so wheels, tires, etc. So you probably could have got the tons on there, you know, for about, let's just say 30 grand. You probably could have got the first part done by putting the tons on it, and then later get all the parts from Genrite to go ahead and stretch it out and complete the system. But overall, you're looking at about you're looking about 50 to maybe 60 grand in parts, just in parts. That's not even having it installed. And so that's a pretty big investment up front to be able to do the system that I wanted to do. That it was going to be a pretty big financial burden right off the jump. Now for the JK, Genrite has a system that they have recently just built it in a way that you can do it in different stages, and that means I'm going to be able to get to pretty much where I wanted to be in the end with my LJ, almost exactly with about half the price. And basically I'm going to do Genrite's Elite Kit for stage 2. That's where I want to get to in the somewhat near future, as in like the 2 to 3 years from now. And I think once I get there, it's going to be on 37s and coilovers. For 37 and coilovers on a JKU Rubicon, this thing is going to be able to tackle a lot. Genrite has just produced a very awesome system, and I'm excited to be able to test it out when I get to stage 2. So we just finished going up to a lookout and taking a look to see the nice scenery from the top, and that definitely was cool. I got a few drone shots up there. Hopefully they came out good for you guys. So I'll be definitely showing you at this point ahead in the video. But we had to do a turnaround, and I'm not sure if we're heading back at this point to where we started or if we're going to be exiting at a different location. But right now we're definitely enjoying the views. I'm kind of happy because now that I'm on, as the driver, I was kind of on the opposite side of the views for most of the trip. And if we do head back, at least I'll be able to get to see the views that I was missing. We came out to the road and we headed to the right, so we're not returning where we came from, so that's pretty cool. But I can say, so far on this trip, being in the JK, I definitely appreciate being back in a 4-to-1 transfer case. I will say that having the sway bar disconnect has been very, very big. I didn't air it down, but having that front sway bar disconnected has definitely made it a lot easier, a little smoother of a trip. But one thing I am noticing that definitely need to replace the windshield wipers, and I'm right now, as far as the parts that I currently have on order or that have already arrived, I've been focused on damage prevention and recovery, so I got those coming in. But I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for not having put on there a new tire carrier, because with the 35-inch tires, it is putting my tailgate to a little bit of work. It's making a little bit more noise than I would like it to. It almost sounds worse than my LJ did. Maybe not that bad. But it's definitely something that's going to be next once I get all these parts put on. I'm enjoying about the JK is the in-cabin air filter. The LJ didn't have that, and so I'm fourth in the train right now, and usually I'd be, if I had the vents on, I'd just be blowing dust straight into the cabin. Kind of cool. There's a place that we're going by right now. It just looks like there's a couple of campers out there, but it's actually an active mine that people are mining. Well, don't know what they're mining, but try to get some GoPro shots of it. Hopefully it's coming out good for you guys. So we're now on just a roughly paved road right now that apparently this is what we're going to be on for the remainder of this trail. So at least it's going to reduce the dust. But I will say it's pretty cool because we're coming up and around a lake. I don't know what lake that is, but it's kind of cool seeing some of the water features here on the back side of this mountain that we've been going over. Heading out. It looks like we're not too far from the main road where we'll be ending this trip, but we just ended up leaving one last little lookout area. We pulled off in this little cul-de-sac area and got a nice little lookout and last little stretch before we finished the trip, and which was pretty cool. Hopefully the drone shots that I got came out looking pretty good for you guys. But overall, I am pretty excited to be having this new JK, and I'm excited to be bringing you guys the build as I step through it over the next couple of years. And I'm then when I get towards at least the end of my somewhat near-term goals with it, I'm excited to see how it's going to perform on the trail and get into something that I've wanted ever since my LJ, which is to have a Gen Right system rig. All right, Chico, this is our first time out in the new Jeep. You know, this is going to be replacing the LJ Ragnarok. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm going to be naming this Jeep Ragnarok. This will be 2.0, but this Jeep will also be Ragnarok when I can get the name changed. But what are your thoughts of riding in the new trail, in the new Jeep on this trail with Ragnarok? What are your thoughts?
It's just the best because I ride in it. The radio is really good, and I like to sit up front, and the seats are way more comfortable than the Ragnarok. And I love it so much because it can go over the bumps even easier than the other one.
Okay, all right. And so you think it's a lot more comfortable in here then?
Yes.
Okay, well that'll make the longer trips a lot more enjoyable then, don't you think?
And I can see more.
Oh, and you can see more. Yeah, that's true.
And sleep.
Oh, and be able to sleep easier? Yeah, that's true. It'll be more comfortable for that. All right, well, thank you, Chico, for sharing your thoughts. All right, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. It was a great, nice little easy trip to go ahead and, you know, test the new comforts of being in a larger Jeep, a more modern Jeep, and one that I am going to build for going pretty hard on. So hopefully within the next 2 to 3 years or so, when I'm finally able to get this Jeep to where I want it, then this thing is going to be ready to rock and roll. But overall, I'm very excited for having this new JK. As you heard, my son is pretty excited to have it too, and I definitely want to thank Kai for organizing the trip, for taking everyone out and, you know, starting off a nice, good, fun, easy trail, but extremely scenic here beginning 2025. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.